Have you ever stopped mid-scroll on Instagram because a photo caught your eye? Not because it was perfect, but because it felt real? That's the magic of Impressionism, an art movement that tossed out the rulebook and dared to paint life as it happens, raw, fleeting, and beautiful. In a world obsessed with perfection, the Impressionists were the ultimate rebels. They didn't care about meticulous details or following the old-school norms. They were all about capturing the essence of a moment, the way light hits a scene, the blur of motion, the emotion in the air. They wanted you to feel their work, not just admire it from a distance. So, what made these artists so radical? Why did they ditch the art world's tight, stiff colors to paint with freedom and flair? And how did their bold brushstrokes change art forever? We're diving deep into the origins of this explosive movement, breaking down the techniques that made the Impressionists infamous and introducing you to the rebels who made art history. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see why Impressionism isn't just art, it's an attitude. Let's rewind to the mid-1800s. The world was buzzing with change. Cities were booming, industries were rising, and everything was moving faster than ever. But in the art world, it was the same old story. Stiff, polished, and oh so boring. Paintings were supposed to be perfect, with every detail in place, focusing on grand historical or mythological scenes. Basically, art was stuck in the past. Enter a group of young, hungry artists who were done with the old ways. They didn't want to paint like the masters of the past. They wanted to paint the world as they saw it, vibrant, chaotic, and full of life. These pioneers started experimenting, painting scenes outdoors and plein air to capture the real world in real time. They weren't about perfection. They were about capturing the moment, imperfections and all. In 1874, these rebels staged their own exhibition, flipping the bird to the official art world. They weren't interested in the stiff, formal rules of the traditional salon. Instead, they showed off works that were raw, colorful, and focused on everyday life, something the art elites couldn't wrap their heads around. Claude Monet's Impression, Sunrise, was the painting that kicked it all off. With its quick, sketch-like style and focus on light rather than detail, it was a slap in the face to traditionalists. One critic, trying to be clever, labeled them Impressionists, mocking their work as unfinished and sloppy. But these artists didn't flinch, they owned it. The name stuck, and a movement was born. Despite the critics' sneers and the establishment's rejection, the Impressionists kept pushing. They knew they were onto something big, and they were right. Their daring approach revolutionized art, tearing down the barriers that had kept creativity in a box for centuries. They showed the world that art could be something more, something real, something alive. What makes Impressionism so damn powerful? It's not just a style, it's a way of seeing the world. First up, light and color. The Impressionists were obsessed with capturing the way light changes everything, how it shifts and dances throughout the day, turning the ordinary into something magical. They didn't waste time with precise lines. Instead, they used bold, thick strokes that made their canvases come alive. Think of it like choosing the perfect filter on your photo. Each brushstroke added depth, mood, and emotion. Color wasn't just a tool for them, it was a weapon. They splashed pure, vibrant hues onto their canvases, letting your eyes mix them. Shadows weren't gray. They were full of rich, unexpected colors that made their scenes pulse with life. These artists showed us that the world isn't just black and white. It's a riot of color, and we're all living in it. Then there's the subject matter. Forget epic battles or religious icons. The Impressionists found beauty in the here and now. City streets, bustling cafes, serene gardens, these were their inspirations. They painted life as it was happening, capturing the moments that most people overlooked. This wasn't about creating timeless masterpieces. It was about seizing the moment and making it art. And let's talk about composition. The Impressionists weren't afraid to play with angles, to crop scenes in ways that felt spontaneous and fresh. They were influenced by the new technology of photography and the exotic allure of Japanese prints. The result? Paintings that feel like they're giving you a sneak peek into a moment, raw and unfiltered. Impressionism is a celebration of life in all its messy, chaotic beauty. It's about breaking away from the old and embracing the new, seeing the world not as it should be, but as it is, imperfect, vibrant, and full of energy. That's what makes these paintings hit so hard, even now. They're not just art, they're a way of life. Get into the artists who made this movement legendary, the ones who didn't just create art but created a revolution. First on the list is Claude Monet, the godfather of Impressionism. Monet didn't just paint scenes, he painted emotions. His series of water lilies, haystacks, and the Rouen Cathedral show the same scene under different conditions, revealing the transformative power of light. And then there's Impression, Sunrise, the painting that lit the fuse. Monet's loose brushstrokes and bold colors weren't about perfection. They were about capturing the essence of a moment, raw and real. Next, we've got Pierre-Auguste Renoir, the master of capturing joy on canvas. Renoir's paintings are all about life's pleasures, whether it's a group of friends laughing over a meal or dancers spinning at a party. His soft brushstrokes and warm colors invite you to step right into the scene. Renoir showed us that art doesn't have to be serious or grand, it just needs to make you feel something. Then there's Edgar Degas, the artist who turned movement into art. Degas wasn't interested in static poses, he was all about capturing the energy of life in motion. Whether it was ballerinas leaping through the air or horses racing to the finish line, Degas made you feel like you were there, in the moment. His compositions are like candid snapshots, intimate, immediate, and full of life. Camille Pissarro, often called the Dean of the Impressionists, brought a sense of calm and reflection to the movement. His paintings of Parisian streets and rural landscapes capture the atmosphere of a place, making you feel the light, the air, the energy. Pissarro reminds us that there's beauty in both the chaos of the city and the serenity of nature. You just have to look for it. Berthe Morisot, one of the few women in the movement, brought a fresh perspective with her focus on intimate, domestic scenes. Morisot's delicate touch and focus on light and shadow created works that are powerful in their subtlety. She showed that the quiet, everyday moments of life are just as worthy of artistic expression as the big, dramatic ones. Finally, Alfred Sisley, the poet of the landscape. Sisley's serene depictions of rivers, skies, and the changing seasons are like a deep breath of fresh air. His paintings remind us to slow down and appreciate the simple, natural beauty of the world around us, something that's all too easy to overlook. These artists weren't just following a trend, they were setting the stage for a revolution. They showed us that art could be more than just a reflection of reality. It could be a reflection of how we experience reality. They broke the rules, ignored the critics, and in doing so, they created something that still resonates with us today. They were rebels with a cause, and their cause was to make us see the world in a whole new way. Impressionism didn't just disrupt the art world, it shattered it, leaving behind a legacy that's still shaping how we create and view art today. These artists didn't just paint, they changed the game, and their influence echoes in every brushstroke, every snapshot, and every piece of modern art that dares to break the mold. The movement blew apart the rigid, suffocating conventions of the past, opening the door to an explosion of creativity that would define the 20th century. Without the Impressionists, there'd be no Van Gogh's swirling night skies, no Cezanne laying the groundwork for Cubism, no abstract expressions, and no modern art as we know it. But Impressionism's influence isn't confined to the canvas, it's woven into the very fabric of how we see the world. These artists taught us that there's beauty in the fleeting, the imperfect, the here and now. They showed us that art isn't about capturing reality in perfect detail. It's about capturing the feeling, the moment, the life behind the image. Today, their legacy lives on in every piece of art that challenges the status quo, in every photograph that captures the magic of the mundane, and in every creative soul who dares to see the world through their own unique lens. Impressionism isn't just an art movement, it's a mindset, a reminder to embrace the world in all its messy, vibrant, chaotic glory. The next time you find yourself mesmerized by the way light dances on water or the way colors shift in the sunset, remember, you're seeing the world the way the Impressionists did. And in that moment, you're not just looking, you're feeling, experiencing, living art. As we wrap up our journey through Impressionism, let's take a moment to appreciate what these artists gave us. They didn't just leave behind beautiful paintings, they left us a new way of seeing the world. They taught us that art is everywhere, in every fleeting moment, in every play of light, in every burst of color. Impressionism is more than a movement, it's a revolution that never ended. It's alive in the way we capture our lives, in the way we share our experiences, in the way we see beauty in the everyday. These artists broke the rules so we could see the world in all its raw, imperfect, incredible beauty. If this video has made you see things a little differently, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the world of art, and share this with someone who needs a little more color in their life. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Keep looking, keep feeling, and remember, the world is your canvas.